So why did you invent this then? There's plenty of other things out there that can do the job.
Yeah, there's plenty of ways of marking out a bird's mouth, but I used to find it quite heavy putting a pattern on top of a rafter, drawing round it. You can use a couple of bevels, you can use a speed square. You still got to mark the backing line. So with this, once it's set up, I simply measure every rafter and then just mark around the bird's mouth. And I find this lightweight, easier and very accurate.
Accurate, that's the one. Okay, let's, well, we've already got started, so let's just take you through that process now.
Could it really be the fact I never bought you a designer dress? Or can it be the truth you never...
Right, we're going to set up this rafter at 30 degrees. We can start off there, just to see the height of it, make sure it's not too obtrusive. So basically these are the two wall plates. So I've measured overall the wall plates, and that is 4760. Now I'm going to take the ridge off of that and divide it by 2. And that gives me 2722. Because the measurement that I want is from the outside plate to this line here, plumb down, it'll be about there. So that now is 2722, no, 2357, and we times that by 1.155. That is on the chart here, on 30 degrees, 1.155. So we times them two together, and that gives us the 2722. And this is our rafter length from the top of the ridge there, straight down to this point here. And then when we put the tool on it, that will give us the bird's mouth. It's not to the point of the bird's mouth, it's to the top of the rafter. Right, so we've worked out this length here, and all the numbers here that come through it. We say, as the pitch comes up, the rafters are going to get longer. And this has worked it all out for you. So if it's really steep, the rafters are much longer, because this is the measurement that we want. 4760 minus the ridge, which is 45mm, divide that by 2, and that will give us 2357 from this point here to there. Now we've got our length, we go to the chart and we're doing 30 degree pitch. So this is 1.155.
Is the multiplier.
And that is the multiplier.
Okay, so we put that in our phone or calculator or whatever we do.
1.155 times it by the 2357, and that gives us our rafter length 2722 from here to here.
So that is the top of the plumb cut.
Top of the plumb cut on the rafter. So now take my square, line the arrow up with 30 degrees and lock it off. And now the square's set for the pitch. Here's our rafter, quick look down it. So we've got a slight bow in it, that's going to go up. We keep all our rafters with a bow up, because the roof's only going to go down. So we want all the bows up. Our timbers are 120, and we should only really take a third maximum out. So we take 40mm out, just a little bit under. This will be our bird's mouth. Now as the tool's already set at 30 degrees, then we just slide this up, so we meet our line, and this will be our bird's mouth. Put 30 degrees on the saw, because we're going to do a 30 degree pitch. Right, now the measurement was 2722. So we simply put the tape on now, measure down the top edge, 2722, which was the rafter length that we've just worked out from our chart. Then simply put the square on, slide it down until it meets this point here, because that is our length. Draw around the bird's mouth. This is the top of the rafter, and we line it up there, and this is the plate that's going to sit on lower down here. This is the underside of the rafter. Right, the reason I invented this roofing square is there's various ways of doing rafters. A lot of people make one rafter, make a pattern, then you put the pattern on top of the rafter and draw around it. It's very good, but the rafters can be out a little bit bowed, you never get them lined up properly. Where with this, I measure it out, stick the square on there, draw around it, and it's very accurate every time, and I find it quite a lot easier than keep lifting up a heavy rafter on top of another one. I do the plumb cut first, as you just noticed, then I've got something nice to measure off. This can't, that's it. It can't move, nice and solid, pull on, and then I can mark my lengths out. So I always do the plumb cut first, measure it off, and then do the bird's mouth, rather than cutting out all the bird's mouths, then trying to work the length of the plumb cut out. Right, today I've got the old chop saw out because I just look at the job and everyone's different. It's low level, we've got plenty of room to work. I can get the bench set up, I can put them in a chop saw, get a lovely cut, and it's all good. Other jobs, you've got a forklift on site, lifting the materials up, then I'd cut all the plumb cuts with a skill saw and the chop saw won't come out. Just depends on the jobs really, but today we've got loads of room to work. So 30 degrees is fine for the lightweight slates that are going to go on the roof when we finished it all. You've got about loads to cut. 2722 is the magic number. Roger, I'm going to go and check this now before we cut them all up, just to make sure it is looking good.
Right, gotcha. Yeah.
So we can cut loads of them there, Gary? Yeah. Right, we'll get that one fired in. I'll try back to you first. Now up, that's it. You're in, you're in there?
Yep.
I think my ridge might be a little bit too high. No, all good, that's lovely. Right. Right, check that, me props slightly too low, which I want it, don't too high. Right, I've got a little bit of wobbling that, but that's near enough plumb.
Sorry, mate, I should have had all this ready for you.
Nah, that's right. Due to the boundary, and we're following the building of the boundary to get maximum in here, every rafter, the pitch is going to change slightly, which I hadn't quite visualised to begin with. So that end's 30, and it's going to gradually creep down to 25 this end.
So that means you've got to measure every one.
Every rafter's going to be measured, and probably just and change the pitch a little bit. Every 3 or 4 rafters will change the pitch very slightly.
Ready, Dan?
Yeah, that's going to just sit on now. Lovely job. The top's better. We have a beam through here, 2 little hips coming up, ridge going back, a couple of valleys up there into the existing or the main roof.
Lovely. So you've got 2 valleys but no hips.
2 hips up here and like say 2 like valleys down there.
Hips at the front.
Yeah, 2 hips at the front going up. I might keep that. I'll speak to Gary. I might keep it a bit lower. Like 30 degrees might be quite high. I might drop it down a little bit, but we'll look at that and discuss it. Drop it down a little bit maybe. On this little front small section,
I see, yeah.
so we might just drop that down a little bit.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Make it look nice actually.
Yeah, and with the hips at the front, it'd just take the edge off it a little bit rather than a gable here. So up here on the roof plate to roof plate, overall the measurement is 2515. So we're going to find out our measurement. So 45mm is a ridge, 45mm off that is 2470. Divide that by 2, that gives us from overall plate to this line here. Now we're going to do a 25 degree pitch roof, and the number on the chart is 1.103. So the 1235 times it by 1.103 is 1362. That is the length of our rafter. So again, from here to here is 1362.
Okay, now I just want to ask you, when you say your chart, you look at your chart, 1.103, yeah?
That is 25 degree pitch there,
Yeah.
1.103.
Right, so as your pitch changes, that figure changes.
Yeah, every time the pitch gets bigger, the number gets slightly bigger as well.
Right, so the number gets longer because the pitch is getting longer.
Because the rafter's getting longer.
Sorry, okay.
As the rafter's going up, they're getting longer. So this number, the metre run or the number there, that's getting longer. So again, on the 25 degrees, the number's 1.103.
Yeah. So you have to know the angle of your roof.
On this one, we have to know. What I quite often do, you go into the existing property, do a level line on the existing rafter, then once you transfer that line, put the square on it and get that line, then it will give you the pitch of the roof. So on the existing roof, you just do a level line down, nice plumb line down, and then you get that lined up with your plumb line there.
Swivel round.
Swivel this arm round.
Yeah.
And then it will give you the pitch of the roof.
That gives you the figure.
That gives you the number. Right, I'm just going to check the top of the timber. That's it there. So I'm going to hook my tape on there. Mark crack there. Square on, slide it up to the line, draw around it. There's our bird's mouth. I've found the centre of our building here and marked it out either side. This is our end common rafter. Now that measurement there from the outside is 12.35. So now I put it on here, come up 12.35, and this will be to the face of our last full rafter, which is going to come through here. So it is our end common going in. We'll nail that down here. On this one, I'm going to measure from our ceiling line roughly to the top of the ridge, is 700. I'm going to bring that out here and put a couple of noggins in, ready to take our ridge. I'm going to stick it well above the ridge, so once the values come down, depending on if it's fiberglass or lead, the noggins will take the value as well. I'm going to cut another pair of rafters in here, and I can level from the top of that out, and that will give me the length of my ridge. Right, I've got these end2 rafters set up here, and this is the ridge height. And I'm just going to now level out from them. This will get the longest point of my ridge.
So whether you put a 30-degree cut on the end,
it's a 60-degree cut, because this is a 30-degree pitch. It's the reverse. Because this is a 30-degree pitched roof, we're going to stick 60 degrees a cut down here. That'll sit on top of these noggins I've put in. I'm just going to check that this rafter's sitting nice, and we can put a little level on here on that plumb cut, and that's nice and plumb, so that should be sitting just exactly where I want it. And now I can measure our overall ridge length, and I'm going to cut it 88 7/8.
What is that? What you suddenly gone to Imperial?
Oops.
There?
Oh. Shall I go to real money? Yeah. 88 7/8.
Brilliant. That's for our American viewers.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm bilingual. Right, I think I'm just a little bit long now on my line. Let's see how level it is. Yeah, it's marginally high, but that's all right. That's good. The two pitch of these two roofs are two different. This is 25, if we wanted to keep it a little bit lower. This main one's 30 degrees. Now I'm going to cut a lay board in here. So I'm going to bring my level, because it's long enough for this nice small little roof. And this is the intersection points there and there where the two roofs meet. And I'm going to take a bevel from the top here. I've just put my level right in where the two roofs meet, and I'm just going to take a bevel off of that. So I've just slid this square up into there. I can work out my other cut off of this one, because this one is showing it's at 43 degrees, so that one will be 47 degrees. It's got two offcuts of timber here, and our lay board's going to sit right up here. So I've marked this line here. So this is going to be like my longest point there, and then it's going to come in down to here, and that's where I want it to meet, where it's hitting this roof there. So that should be, that is from that point there. So I've got like longest point to longest point. 1655, top one's 43 degrees square cut. Longest point, bottom one's gonna be 47 degrees, and I'm gonna put a splay on it of 30 degrees to match the main roof. It should just slide down there. Oh blimey, first time. There we go, one lay board. This cut down here is 30 degrees on the chop saw. You can do that on the skill saw. That's the same as this roof. And then this one is 47 degrees. It was off of the top one was 43, that's 47.
Why's that?
Because it all adds up to 90. So as long as it all adds up to the magic 90 for the square, because this is a square. So 43 top, 47 at the bottom, 30 on display. Now, what I normally do is, if you cut that through here, cut that through first on your lengths, you get two out of one, so then you're going to get the other side. Right, I'm going to measure out here 400 and there 400. Again, longest point to longest point. I'm going to get a little valley rafters in here. So this top cut's going to be 25 degrees like the rest of the roof. And then that bottom splay cut is going to be 65 degrees. So it's going to be a big long cut through here. And then I'm going to put a 30 degree splay cut, because the main roof is 30 degrees again. So here we have our valley rafter, 25 degrees at the top. Then this one, the big long cut, 65 degrees there. And I laid the saw over on 30 degrees for the splay cut to go over that main roof. And there we have it sitting in there. Because we're doing the square, this is 65, 25 from 90, 65 degrees. So that's a 65 degree cut down at the bottom.
So you'll always know what that
always comes back to 90.
By finding the top one.
Once you've got the top one, this is square off of that, the label sitting there, square off of that, and it's all come up to the 90 degrees. So 65, 25. I've just got a 45 degree line straight through there. This is our bit of timber that's going to sit on there at the hip, and that bit's going to be cut out for the bird's mouth to sit on, so that should be 45 through there. This is the same thickness as our hip material. That's going to sit up in there, so I'm going to put that there and just mark the shoulder line. It's better off being too long than too short.
Tape doesn't help though, does it?
The big foot on the tape, it can be a little bit dodgy at times. It's great for obviously hooking on. 1830, like the old holidays. But with the chart that comes with the square, we're doing 25 degree pitch, so the hip's 18 degrees. So I'm going to put 18 degrees on the saw. and the top cut goes to like a mitre. So I'm going to put 45 degrees on here. When I cut through that though, it's not actually 45 degrees with a saw. As we can see, that's not actually 45. It's a little bit out, but that just gives it the right angle. Now to mark the bird's mouth out, this is an ordinary rafter, and we're going to measure this height here, height above plate. It's about 98mm, about 98. So I'm going to measure now down this plumb cut, 98mm. Like that. Now with the square, I'm going to put 18 degrees on here. That is our hip plumb cut, 18 degrees. And then slide the arm down until we meet our line there. Now it's all set up for the bird's mouth for the hip. As you can see, we're taking quite a lot out. You normally take a lot more out, and the hip's quite a bit wider, so therefore it's a big bird's mouth. So I've already done the measurements, 1830 from this point here.
So you took that to the corner of your wall plate.
This is to the corner of the wall plate here,
Yeah.
and up there I put a timber on and mark the shoulder line. You can mark from the longest point. It's just a matter of preference. We've always done it from the shoulder. Maybe old dog, new tricks.
So wherever you measure from, just keep it consistent.
As long as it's the same, it doesn't matter. Now the square's obviously all set up. This time now I've actually measured to the bird's mouth, not the top edge, because we measured the wall plate, and then we just slide that there. That's our 1830 line. So you can see we've got a big old bird's mouth this time, but we've got much bigger timbers.
Yeah, so here you can't do anything.
There, if you measure that there, it's about 92mm.
And the timber is?
Where on our rafter there, this one, it's about 88mm, so it's only 4mm. Oh, right. It's not a lot of difference, but it does vary. And this is, you've always got to measure it on this plumb up there.
Yeah.
Because this is where the two roofs sort of meet in the plane there, not square, but plumb down.
Got it, okay. So measure along your plumb line.
Down the plumb line, which is the same as that. That there is 97mm, and I've got 97mm on there. Now let's see. That ain't too bad. It's marginally long. A little bit long, yeah. I'm measuring out a little bit. Right, take a little bit off that one. Yeah, not a lot. I'm a smidgen long still. This is the same bird's mouth as we had on the other rafters there, and this is going to go on the jack rafters, so I'll use it, still set up exactly the same for that bird's mouth. And this is the main event. They're all ready to go. But I just want to put a prop under there because it's a bit. So here's our jack cuts. We've got 25 degree plumb cut there. I've laid the saw on 45 for the splay cut, but when the saw goes through, as you can see, it's a little bit out of 45, but it gives us the right angle. So there we have the valley up there, labelled, the little valley rafters going on, ridges in, rafters are in, hips in, and all the little jack rafters are all in. I always pull a line through afterwards because I can measure out there accurately and cut it off, but the reality is it will be a little bit bumpy, so I'll never cut them until the end. Then I'll measure out either end depending on the width of the soffit, pull a line through, and then level the line round and cut it off in situ, because this wall might have a little bit of a bow in it here and there, and to come off that it's never dead flat, so I always cut them off afterwards.
Falcon Heights, I call you in a straight 3-4 from grace, and I fell for you before the light even hit your face. Now I wonder why.
So there we have the roof fully pitched with my roofing square. We covered all the elements, the hips, the valleys, the jack rafters. You can buy my roofing square from Essential Carpenter Tools. Thanks for watching.
Falcon Heights, I call you in a straight 3-4 from grace, and I fell for you before the light even hit your face.